Today's session is by Nicole Jansen, from Team Manager Insights and Innovation at Innova Market Insights, and she will share insights about innovations and consumer expectations in active nutrition. If you have any questions, please type them in if you're tuning in online. And if you are in the in-person audience, if we have time, we'll go through them. And we're short on time, so without further ado, Nicole, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Nice to see all of you here, and thanks for coming to this presentation. My name is Nicole, and I lead the client success team at Innova Market Insights, and want to share a few insights with you today on active nutrition. So again, as we are a bit short on time, let's say we start without further ado. So maybe if I can have the slides. Oh yeah, perfect. There it is. Before I start with the actual content slides, I do want to give you a bit of an introduction to Innova Market Insights. So what we do is really provide our clients a 360 view of the market, right? And there we start quite broad. We look at mega trends in the industry and really then drill it down to what are the trends that are happening within consumers. So we have a consumer team that does various surveys throughout the year. For instance, just last year we had 35 million data points just on consumer surveys, actually. And that then also brings us to our food trends. So at the heart, we're really food experts, and we track products across the globe in more than 90 countries by having our network go into the stores and purchase individual products, and all of the data points are then, let's say, digitalized. So basically, based on that, we can then check what are the trends together with our consumer research and the mega trends, and we'll then be able to say, okay, what's happening in active nutrition? So I would say that for today, we're going to look into 3 different key areas. And it's mostly related to health, because that's, of course, one of the key drivers. So first of all, health going holistic. So we want to look at the 3 different areas within health, which are physical well-being, but also mental and a little bit of spiritual well-being, because we see how all of the 3 are, let's say, combined into this holistic well-being concept. Then also, I want to have a look with you into health concerns and how they have been evolving with the consumer. And finally, also a little bit into what's next. So what's going to happen next within the active nutrition space. And I would say, let's start without further ado. So health is going holistic, and we know already since some time, right, or we have been observing also that mental well-being is really part of physical well-being, and 61% of consumers actually, they intend to increase spending on their health and well-being in the next 12 months. So as you can see also on the screen, we have the 3 aspects, body, so for physical health, the mind, and also spirit. And for the body, we really talk about physical well-being, so activeness, doing sports, etc., to keep us fit. And then with mind, we talk more about mental well-being, also stress, for instance. I mean, we have a lot of stress nowadays from, for instance, our jobs, but also through the pandemic, so that's the other aspect. And then when we talk about spirit, and that will not be a key topic for today, but it's more about how good we feel, for instance, about, let's say, purchase decisions, or when we consume certain things. Like, just to give you an example, last week I was, I ate a cold cut, like a meat-based cold cut, and I realized, like, hey, maybe I'm eating a lot of meat at the moment, so it didn't really make me feel good. And that's also part of health, and we cluster that into spiritual well-being. So those are the 3 pillars, but we focus on body and mind for today. So if we, let's say, or we have asked consumers actually how often they do the following exercises. So for instance, aerobic or cardiovascular exercises, endurance training, flexibility, etc. So there's quite a lot of different ones. And you can see consumers are kind of like all over the place when it comes to the different exercises. But what is interesting is also that it's not only the younger generations, but also, for instance, boomers. So 76% of boomers actually indicated that they do at least light exercise once a month or more. And the reasons for that are mostly health. So you can see also in this bubble, it's really one of the key drivers. On top of that, also to keep their body in shape. And then also to feeling mentally fit and to release stress. So here again, we can see how the two are really interconnected, right? And we are not just talking about, let's say, health in terms of being physically, let's say, fit, but how it's really, interconnected, basically. So what I think is interesting is that when we look at sport nutrition, let's say over the past years, what comes to my mind mostly is like, for instance, whey protein powders or protein powders in general. But what we can observe is that there's a lot of innovation happening in sport nutrition. So we see 17% growth rate of new sport nutrition launches. And as you can see in the product examples that we've brought today, like Body Shaper, for instance, it's really not only anymore about building up muscles, but it's really about supporting definition and different diet phases. So it's very specific. On top of that, it's also plant-based. So you see lifestyle comes into product development as well. The other examples, like Fit8, for instance, you can see that's a protein bar, but then it's positioned as being for overall fitness. So maybe not only for muscle building, but really addressing the larger, let's say, even, I would say, all generations and the different type of exercises that they're doing. I think you can't do anything wrong with a more general claim that addresses overall fitness, for instance. And then the tonic energy drink that you can see on the right-hand side is really also multifunctional. What I think here is interesting is that it has a combination of caffeine, but also, for instance, guarana, nootropics. So really to make sure you're not getting this peak like after drinking it, but that you can have a, let's say, long-lasting energy over the day. So we saw already how mental and physical well-being get closer and closer to each other. And we have asked consumers what steps they have taken to improve their mental and emotional health over the past 12 months. I think this really shows, again, this interconnection. The first answer from consumers was to take more physical exercise or also trying to get more sleep. So let's talk about sleep for a moment. I think that's really one of the, let's say, areas where consumers really learned throughout the pandemic how important sleep actually is for them, also when it comes to immune health, for instance. So again, there is this, let's say, very strong correlation, but then also nutrition plays such an important role, which you can see in the answers, such as that they have made changes to their diet and nutrition, they have taken supplements, they have chosen food and beverage that helps their mood, for instance. So it's also really related to their choice of food products and nutrition in general. Food really is also, let's say, or plays a big important role when it comes to stress management. So 70% of consumers, they feel highly stressed every day. And we said already in the beginning, this is due to different reasons. Can be pandemic, but also managing just your everyday life, like sports, family, job, etc. And therefore, consumers have been taking different methods, so like the physical exercise, sleep patterns, etc., but also, again, a healthy and balanced diet. And that's one I want to go a little bit more into, because here, for instance, you can see on the left-hand side that we have, or that we see that there's a strong increase of product launches, of supplement launches for brain and mood health, so actually 48%. And so just to let you know, at Innova, actually, we don't just track food and beverage products, but also track supplements. So this is how we can come up also with the growth rate. And here, interestingly, you can see that they have also really clear to understand ingredients. For instance, chamomile and also lemon balm. So it's ingredients also that consumers would understand. It's transparent, and this is also kind of a trend that we're seeing towards short ingredient lists, clarity, transparency. Another nice example also is the Guru Brain Performance Max that also has other active ingredients in order to target brain performance. So we see on one hand that on the supplement side there's also a lot of innovation happening with different type of active ingredients, but also easy to understand ingredients. But also on the other hand, in the food side, we see also there is a 12% growth of food and beverage products that, for instance, have brain health claims. So we see the brain bars. So I think bars in general are one of the categories that can target active health quite easily, as well as also drinks, as you can see here. And also here we see chamomile for calming effect, and also the brain bar, including different type of lutein, also prebiotics, different type of active ingredients. So we see on both ends that that active nutrition is being targeted towards the consumer. Let's go over to the second part of this presentation, and that's the different health concerns that are evolving. And here we can see that we basically are showing an overview of the different generations, because the different generations, of course, also have different needs, right? So Gen Z, for instance, as well as also the millennials, they're really focusing on physical appearance and performance, and for them it's really important like that they're also having a good sports performance, that they're doing well, that they're getting the nutrients that can help them in order to do their fitness, for instance. For millennials, also energy is quite important, so making sure that in their active lifestyle they can endure due the whole day, as we said before. And then if we look at Gen X and also boomers, here we see more targeted benefits that they're looking for. So for instance, more specific benefits such as immunity, sleep, and also mood enhancement. Also for boomers, age-specific benefits. And that's also something that we're going to look into in a second, into healthy aging. So consumers, they really act on the varied health concerns. So we have asked them, have you taken any actions to improve one of the following health aspects? And you can see clearly, like, those are all of the different actions that are being taken, such as improving sleep, but also hydration. To be honest, hydration stood out to me personally. I was a bit surprised to see that, but I can imagine, for instance, also that it comes from the fact that due to the pandemic, consumers learn more about the importance of staying hydrated in order to be healthy and or recovering, for instance. So I think that's why also hydration is really high up. Immunity, of course, you see gut health also as a 27% response rate. Of course, they're very strongly related. And that's actually also something I want to go into in my next slide. We see that, we see that there's different dietary actions on improving immunity and gut health. So I know there's a lot going on this slide, but if we have a look for a moment on immunity, you see that also, for instance, staying hydrated, taking regular exercise is really important, and they really also reappear in the digestion and gut health part. So I think overall we can say that that there are some key activities or actions that are really important in both areas, and I think it also kind of shows again how holistic health is like. Really comprised by the two of them, and that both like exercise, sleep, hydration, and stress management are just part of this holistic health concept. So about gut health, I also want to talk about that for a second. So our company actually 30 years ago, when we founded Innova, then we actually started with the topic of gut health. So we tracked products such as, for instance, Yakult that contain prebiotics. But I think nowadays gut health has a whole different meaning than back then. Nowadays, gut health also is perceived by the consumer or is associated by the consumer with immune health, as well as something that helps keep up energy levels, that helps to improve sleep, and also mood, for instance. So again, it has become this whole holistic health concept around gut health. So also consumers themselves, so 2 in 3 actually say that they find that gut health is key to achieving holistic well-being. And especially millennials and also Generation X are valuing gut health for this holistic role. Interesting is that gut health also, you can really find it across different categories. I think the bakery category, so the first product example that we see here is still, let's say, or we have seen product launches there already in the past. However, here you can see also that now they are, having high fiber profile to promote gut health, but also positioned as supporting the immune function. So we can really see that different health concepts are being put together when positioned or communicated to the consumer. Another nice example is also the sparkling prebiotic tonic drink, containing prebiotics to support both immunity and digestive health. So again, combining the two aspects. And then what I really think is interesting is on the last product example, digestive or gut health is not even mentioned, but it's only ingredients that consumers associate with digestive and gut health. And then also including fiber, antioxidants, and superfoods to actually support children's development. So you can see there's so many different health concepts that come together just on one product that is positioned in the market. And overall, also for gut health, I think we can really see how it's really growing fast within all types of categories. So not just bakery or healthy bread, for instance, but really in drinks, in bars, etc. We can see it across the whole food and beverage category, including, of course, also supplements. So we talked already earlier for a moment about healthy aging, and it's a key concern that is also addressed in many different ways by the consumers. So we ask consumers, what steps are you taking for healthy aging? And again, we see taking regular physical exercise, so I think this is like the key insight, but also weight management, and then also the more nutrition-related actions, such as observing a balanced diet, observing nutritionally rich diet, or also taking supplements. Those are the key actions that consumers do to prevent. So for them, it's kind of really important. And again, one insight on this slide that really stroked me, that I thought was really interesting, is that 18% from the age of 20 onward are already thinking about healthy aging. And to be honest with you, when I was in that age, I did not think about healthy aging. I just did not. Maybe some of you can relate to that, but I think that's also really a shift, and where we really have to make sure we understand the younger generations very well in what they're looking for. So let's have a look into what's next. And here we can see personalization really is key. It plays such an important role. I just gave you the example of people thinking about healthy aging, right? Consumers, they have different type of ideas when it comes to their nutrition, so I think it's really important if we personalize. So we see here how interested, or we have asked consumers how interested they are in having their food and beverage experience personalized in different type of ways. So for instance, based on functional needs, but also on nutritional needs, on their mood even, and also on their lifestyle. And nutritional needs is something that I want to look further into, because we see that especially people in the age of 26 to 35 are actually most likely to want to have personalization in food and drinks going forward. So first of all, in terms of nutritional needs, what we can see is that based on our consumer survey, that in the last 12 months, positive natural nutrition is really key. And we can see how the consumption of fiber and protein, for instance, has really increased, whereas the consumption of, I would say, almost negative nutrition, such as fat, sodium, salt, sugar, has really been going down. And of course, we all have been observing the trends in sugar reduction strategies, for instance, that are happening, and it's a big topic for consumers. The interesting thing that we can see on the other side also is the product examples, which not so necessarily are from health categories as we know, but we see here, for instance, like a pudding and also a snacking example, which still has added macronutrients such as protein, for instance, and are targeted towards the consumer. So that's also one of the reasons why for consumers, of course, it has been easier to increase their consumption of, let's say, of positive nutrients. What I also want to talk about is lifestyle, because I think that's one of the topics we haven't gone into so much today. But for instance, plant-based, it's actually also one of Innova's top 10 trends for this year. There's a lot of, let's say, different health needs, again, by the consumer. And so there are also different strategies on how those different needs can be addressed. If we take plant-based as the example, then we see that there's a lot of product launches that, for instance, refer on the inherent nutrition, such as, for instance, the example of Earth-owned Naked. So there, the only ingredients are filtered water, gluten-free oats, sea salt, and amylase. And here it's really about that there's no additional health benefits to the product, but it's just inherent oats that can give the nutrition to the consumer. On the other hand, we also see that products are enhanced with nutrition, such as mimicking, for instance, meat products, like in this example, and really make sure that they have the same value, for instance, of proteins as you can expect from a regular meat product. And then on the other hand, we also have examples where we see that, that alternatives are even looking into a superior nutrition. And I really like the example of the seafood, because they're really aiming and optimizing. So just giving the same value as perhaps consumers could get from a regular fish product is not enough, but they add additional nutrients to it, and on top of that they can also, let's say, promote the product with the texture and also with the sustainability. And so here we really talk about superior nutrition. Finally, one part that I really want to talk about is also technology, because I find that this has been also become really important when it comes to personalization. And technology, of course, can really push innovation as well. So what we can see here is that 48% of consumers actually say that they would adopt or accept new or novel processing technologies of their food products. And I think often that's also related to the fact that due to, for instance, plant-based, they have learned about new, let's say, ways of technology, or also through dairy technology, such as, for instance, simple or others like fermentation or pasteurization examples. They know that there's some technologies and therefore also accept them easier now with future innovations. So we have asked them again, like whether they would accept them and under which conditions. And consumers say if the technology would make the food product, for instance, healthier, safer, or less harmful or tastier, then those are the key reasons for them on why they would be accepting those technologies. So I think that's really important also when it comes to the communication of the product towards the consumer. Also, we see a lot of, let's say, as I said, innovation happening also with apps, like with digitization. I think, for example, one of the, I would say, almost crazier examples that I have seen was a way where a sample from your genes can be taken, and then based on that, the company would be able to provide you with the most perfect and most personalized nutrition that you can get, because it's really based on your genes. So with technology, we can already go that far, but of course the question is what is realistic right now, right? So I think a healthy, let's say, balance is quite important here. So finally, let's have a look into the key takeaways. And we talked about 3 topics. First of all, health, going holistic, and you remember that there's especially the strong connection between body and also physical well-being and also mental well-being. Which also includes spiritual, but of course when we talk about active nutrition, mental well-being, active ingredients that can support that are really key. Then also health concerns evolve. So I think here the really key takeaway is that we need to look at the different health concerns from the different generations, because they all have different needs when it comes to, when it comes to what they want. Whether it's like making it fit to their lifestyle, whether it's physical exercise and improving that, or healthy aging. But here it's really like the key, I think, really is targeting your consumer. And then also when we look at what's next, then I think technology will really continue to open opportunities for personalization in terms of nutrition. And young consumers especially, I think, are the ones who will really have this experience from personalized diets and where we can probably see more. So this was the final slide. So I do want to thank you all for joining. And if you have any questions or also, if you have any data points, for instance, that you thought were interesting, please feel free to let me know. I think we do have a couple of minutes for questions still. I also do want to let you know before we end that if you leave your business cards with my colleague who's over there, then we will make sure to send you a couple of slides from this presentation. So thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And if anyone in the audience has any questions, I'll bring the microphone to you. We also have questions coming in from the online audience. And we actually do have a question here asking, what key trends do you believe is to grow stronger in the long haul?
So then I guess related to active nutrition, right?
Yes.
I really think that I think that we will see a lot more of this personalization trend, because I think you can probably also notice yourself that there's like specific reasons why we want to be healthy, right? Or like different ways, and there's so many possibilities of what we can do nowadays to stay healthy. Some of us want to do it by, for instance, taking healthy drinks, others by taking supplements. So there's like really so much different innovation also happening in that space that I think personalization is really going to be key in addressing the different, let's say, consumer groups. So that's, I think, really one of the key takeaways.